Good evening and welcome to the daily reflection from Salisbury Cathedral for Monday the 10th of May 2021. I'm Canon Nigel Davies, the Vicar of the Close. It would seem that we are well on the way to returning to something called normal. On the 17th of May we will be able to meet inside again, 6 people or 2 households. We won't need to freeze in the spring weather whilst we dine al fresco in the pub's tented village, nor be battered by the wind at the table outside our favourite coffee shop. We'll be able to stay in a hotel again, and we can now travel to see family and stay with them. Certainly, this further release from lockdown will enable my wife and I to go and see our daughters in the frozen north. It begins to feel for us in the UK that the dark days are nearly over. Society is set to open up and the prospect is exciting. Yet, even as I contemplated this new reality, my thoughts turned to remembering. And I found myself looking back over the past 12 months or so of the pandemic. The sensible person would have been looking forward, you might think, making plans. Yet, before I feel comfortable doing that, I need to have finished with and processed the experiences of COVID time. Many people will want to forget and resolutely turn their backs on the days and months the pandemic cast its long shadow over our land. However, those who have been significantly impacted by the pandemic will have the events of the past months seared on their memories. For those who have been on the front line, working in the NHS and in care homes, the memories perhaps will be more like those of troops returning from a war zone. I am sure that many will have what amounts to PTSD. They will remember with horror all that has happened, all that they have been involved in. And it is likely to be the same for those who have lost a loved one during the pandemic. So we're unable to, because they were unable to mark their loss in the manner that their loved ones deserve. Such memories will always be painful. They might become easier to revisit with the passage of time. Most people will be able to process them with the passage of time, but they will have a profound and lasting effect on all who have experienced such things. Lest we forget is a phrase often associated with remembrance services and commemorative occasions. For some reason, it popped into my consciousness as I ruminated. I think that the reason for this is because it seems, to me at least, that we do tend to forget more easily than we remember. We tend to look to the future, make those plans, and then, surprise, surprise, the past comes back to haunt us. Or, more accurately, we repeat the same mistakes, remain unprepared for what life throws back at us, because we have forgotten. I will be very happy to forget much of the last 12 months, but that would do a disservice to those who have died, those who have worked tirelessly in the NHS, and many others who had to keep working. It would also mean that the problems which the pandemic shone a light on, such as poverty, inequality of opportunity, and lack of affordable housing, to name but 3, would also be forgotten, and that certainly would not do. We must remember COVID time in such a way that it results in action to bring an end to these problems. If our government's commitment to level up society, to build back better, is to be more than a soundbite on the news, we mustn't lose sight of what has gone before, or we won't be able to judge whether things are getting better or worse. The ability of people to have selective amnesia is something with which we are all familiar. Often, it seems politicians have this capacity in abundance. We are used to the rhetoric, often uttered when something goes wrong. What lessons must be learned? But sadly, lessons are not always learnt, as we know. And throwing words at a problem doesn't make it go away. A blizzard of hyperbole might hide the problem for a while, but it is still there. Problems never go away. They must be dealt with. And remembering can be a spur to action. That's how we need to remember the pandemic once it has become history. Not shut the door on what has been going on and turn our backs on it. In local and global communities, there is much work to be done to address the mistakes that have contributed to our plight. Remembering well can be the spur to action. Holding the past in remembrance can give energy to action in the present. Thanks for watching and have a good evening.